everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today I'm going to be reviewing Super Mario RPG. Little backstory on this game. I remember renting Super Mario RPG when it came out, and I went to the store with my grandma to rent it, and they had a huge cardboard cutout promoting it in the store, like, whoa, it's like the new game to get. And I remember bringing it home, and at the time, I was very new to RPGs, and either this guy right here was my first RPG or Earthbound. I can't remember, honestly. I don't know. But one of them was. So regardless, both of them were new, and I remember putting it in and playing it, and the music was very interesting and different. It wasn't necessarily arcadey. It was actually interesting music I wanted to listen to. Same thing with Earthbound, and I just remember the style of it, like, you know, the whole, well, you all know, the aerial view 16-bit Super Nintendo RPG was very unique and new to me, and I thought, wow, what is this? The text boxes, you could go to people's houses and talk to them. You were basically literally going on an adventure. Story-wise, it was different than Donkey Kong or Super Mario World. It was so much different, and for me, I fell in love with it, and I don't know, I was blown away. Now, like 20 years later, I decided it was time to finally put it in the Super Nintendo and get this done. And finally, I beat it. I beat it. I actually got to the final boss about a month ago and then got really discouraged and thought I need to put it down for a bit because I just can't handle it right now. And then I just said, no, it's happening, and then just beat it all at once. And so it was Smithy, he's the boss, and it was very annoying, and I am very glad that that's over. But overall, this game is not really that hard. It's great pace, and the overall story and concept to me is really, well, it's not necessarily original nowadays, but back then it was actually really original. The reason I say it's original is because everybody back in the 90s, how could you not know who Super Mario was, or the Mario Brothers, or Luigi, like Bowser? Everybody knew. This was like my life in the 90s. Every kid knew who Mario was, right? And so it was everybody knew, like when you said, oh, what are you playing? I'm playing Super Mario. Everyone knew exactly what that was, like the 2D side-scrolling platform game. But then this was a huge twist because it was made by Squaresoft and Nintendo, and they decided to take all the characters from the Mario universe and turn it into an RPG. And at the time, there were other big ones, you know, like Final Fantasy 4 and 6 and Chrono Trigger, and then they decided to put this out. And yeah, it's a lot more simplistic as far as story goes because, you know, it's Mario and Bowser and Princess Peach, and there's, you know, and Toad. There's not really a deep story going on here, but at the same time, aren't all RPGs to some extent about saving the world and traveling with a party of about 4 members? So, you know, it's not really too much different from the other stuff. It's just Chrono Trigger is a bit more heavy. You know, it's a bit more heavy. Final Fantasy VI, more of a dark story. This is not really the same. But what I really liked about it was that Bowser, obviously him and Mario are, you know, enemies, but Smithy, this other new enemy that they introduced, basically took over Bowser's castle, and so Mario and Bowser actually team up because they kind of have to. Mario wants to get rid of Smithy because he's a bad guy, and Mario just wants to save the world, and Bowser wants to get rid of him because he has no castle, and as far as Bowser's concerned, he's the, you know, baddest guy around, not Smithy. So the two of them actually team up, and I loved that because you actually have Bowser in your team, and I thought that was really great. I mean, there's other great characters in this, like Geno and Mallow, and then you can actually be Princess Peach. She joins your party as well. But I don't know, the whole dialogue between Mario and Bowser, like, he's kind of essentially your friend in the game because you both want the same thing. So I really liked that, and it was just very different. And let's talk about the music here because, wow, the Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars soundtrack is one of the best that the Super Nintendo has to offer. I don't just say that. It's actually one of the reasons I like the game from the start when I was a little kid, because I remember, you know, when the internet actually came out, which was after this game, I used to go on this website. I think it was like, God, VG MIDI, like videogamemidis.com or something, and just listen to all the MIDI files from that game. I used to just get lost in it because I remember thinking this game is so interesting, and thinking about, you'd build up all these stories in your head just about what's going on in all the different towns you got to go to, because it was so much more than the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, you got to go to all these towns and meet all these different people, and then there'd be something crazy going on in that town, and you had to figure that out before you go to the next town. And that concept to me as a kid was kind of a huge deal. And like, I know that's like every RPG, you make it to a new town, something's going down, gotta fix it before you can move on, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it's a huge deal. And to this day, I still listen to the Super Mario RPG soundtrack because it is just so well done. And some of the tracks are incredibly memorable. If you guys have played it, you know what I'm talking about. It's incredible. It's a very good soundtrack. So, you know, sorry, if you go on YouTube and listen to the soundtrack, it'll almost make you want to play the game, because it's like, well, what's being paired with that music? And it's honestly amazing stuff. Visually, I love this game. I love it, because they were trying something a little bit different. It doesn't look like Clay Fighter, but it kind of has this clay look like the actual sprites in the game. It's not the same as, say, like Final Fantasy VI or Earthbound or Chrono Trigger, where it is that very 16-bit look. This is like it's 16-bit, but it's in a clay style look, which I actually was a little bit different. Again, they did something new, and I really like the way it looks. There's some beautiful visuals. I also really love the way you can move on the map. There's a world map, but not in the same sense as a lot of other RPGs. Basically, it's a world map the same way you'd have a world map in a Super Mario like platformer. So when you go to the next town, it like brings up this world map, and then there'll be like where you are dot 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 to the next place dot dot dot. So if you want to quickly go back to another town, you don't have to like travel all across the world map. Or go back and back and back, like say Earthbound, because there's no world map in that game. This was a kind of like a platformer world map, which is really interesting. And again, everything in this game, from the cutscenes, even though they're not really cutscenes, but there's just different things, from, you know, the way battles are, to the way the bosses look, to, you know, going down a waterfall, anything. The game is actually really gorgeous. And to this day, it actually still looks really good. I know you put it in and it's like, okay, you know, after you play something like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and you're like, wow, times have changed. But it still looks really, really good. And I know this game is available on the eShop. I'm not 100% sure if it's on the Wii U eShop. I know it was on the Wii, so definitely check it out, because I know this game is actually pretty pricey now. I don't have the box, but I do have the cartridge, and I remember buying it on eBay about maybe like 8 years ago, 9, I don't know, it's almost a decade, and I think I paid $60 for it, so it's definitely, like, you'd find it for $100, $90 now, which in my opinion is still kind of worth it. Considering that people pay $70 for a new Assassin's Creed game, I feel like you can damn well shell an extra $30 for an amazing game like this. Let's talk about the battle system, because it's actually really unique, and it's very similar to Paper Mario, and actually South Park: The Stick of Truth is very similar, and obviously those games came afterwards, but I remember when I was playing South Park: Stick of Truth, I was like, wow, this is very much Super Mario RPG style. So it is turn-based, which I love, but it's very much a timed system. So say you're Mario and you can select attack or whatever, which is, say, just jump, or whatever, or shooting a shell or whatever. When you attack, if you hit A at the exact right moment, you'll actually make the attack do more damage. So it's a very much a timed button system, which sounds irritating, but I swear that it's not. I know Paper Mario does that. South Park: Stick of Truth does that. I'm sure other games do. And it's actually not that bad. There's sort of a satisfaction when you go, like, you can see somebody do an attack and you hit A at the exact moment, then the attack will do more damage, and I don't know, I kind of like it. And it's a really easy system of just picking what you're going to do. Like, you know, you will literally hit, you know, Y if you want to select an item, or B if you want to defend. Like, it's very, very simplistic, but at the same time, it works amazing. Like, why wouldn't anybody else use that system. So I really like the system, and the battle system is very enjoyable, and I never found the game to be grindy because everything was at a very, very normal pace. You would go on. I never had to sit somewhere for 3 hours and go, until I could advance. It just was you would level up naturally, natural level progression, and everything was really good in that regard. And I didn't find any of the bosses excessively hard. If you knew the strategy and you knew who to have and what armor to have on and stuff, it actually wasn't that bad. The only hard boss was the final boss, who I went in kind of blind and went, wow, this sucks, and put it down, and then did my research, found exactly what I need to do, and I did some grinding a little bit, but I would say I only did an hour of grinding. It was not really a big deal. For RPGs, that is not a big deal. So no complaints on the gameplay aspect. I love all the, I don't want to say levels, but it is Mario, it feels like that. But all the towns, all the areas you actually get to explore are incredibly fun. The dialogue is fun. This is nothing but awesome. And if you really like RPGs, and actually, to be honest with you, this is a great entry-level RPG. Nothing too ridiculous here. You don't have to worry too much about specific, stats and, stuff, specific weapons. Honestly, you can cruise through the game. I obviously looked up what I needed to have, what are the best weapons, blah, blah, blah. But in general, this game is a great way. If you aren't really into Japanese role-playing games, but you kind of want to be, this is a game to check out. And, for $10 on the eShop or whatever, it's totally worth it. I'm not sure how long I spent on this game, just because I don't think I might have actually. I think the Super Nintendo did keep track of how long I've been playing, but I would say it's just over 20 hours. Again, very light, not too bad. It's not going to take you, 3 years to beat, or 20 in my case. But it's a great game. If you love RPGs, if you love Nintendo, if you love Mario, if you love that world, but it's like it's like the Final Fantasy people took all the Nintendo characters and made a crazy game, because there are new characters in this game, but really, really inventive. Love the game. Have nothing bad to say. Okay, the only bad thing I have to say is this item storage system is absolute crap. You cannot fit enough items. It's a little nerve-wracking sometimes, as you really have to plan out how to use your items. However, maybe that's part of the strategy. I don't know, but it's actually a little bit of a pain because you can't fit that much. Kind of like Earthbound, actually. What's up with these games around the same time? You cannot have good item storage. It's bad. That's the only thing I would have to really complain about. But nothing, honestly, it's a really good game. I loved it. It's like my bucket list. I'm so glad to say I finally beat it, because it's been sitting there forever. One of the first games I ever played, especially for a JRPG, and it's a huge part of my childhood despite not owning it, but I would rent it, and the music and the opening sequence and Peach sitting there, and pardon me, Princess Toadstool, because that's how I grew up. She was Princess Toadstool when I grew up, and King Koopa. But when I played that, it just nothing but nostalgia. So to finally beat it was a huge moment for me, and I really recommend you guys play it. And if you have played it, tell me how you love it. You don't love it, tell me everything. I'm interested, because I really like this game, and I recommend it to everybody. So that's everything I have to say about Super Mario RPG, and I'll see you guys later.